Hey everyone. My name's Alex, I'm 32 years old, and I live in Jersey City. I want to share something with you today, something that honestly still gives me chills when I think about it. It's a story about how the smallest delay, a tiny inconvenience, ended up saving my life. Sounds unbelievable, right? But trust me, once you hear this, you'll look at every traffic jam, every spilled coffee, and every missed bus completely differently. Oh, and before I dive in, if you're watching this video, please drop a comment telling me where you're from. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss how this story unfolds and how it ends. Okay, let's rewind a little. Like I said, I live in Jersey City now, but I grew up not too far away, near Newark. Pretty average neighborhood, strip malls, diners, the smell of fresh pizza from Domino's down the block, and of course, the sound of traffic on I-95 at all hours. Back then, I was working in Manhattan, near 7th Avenue. And honestly, my life was on autopilot. I had the same routine every single weekday. Wake up at 6:30 a.m., put on my gray hoodie and jeans, grab a tall Pike Place roast from Starbucks by the PATH station, hop on the train to 33rd Street, and then walk the same 10 blocks to my office. Every morning I'd scroll through my Spotify Morning Vibes playlist, check ESPN for last night's scores, and sometimes flip through emails before even getting to my desk. Sounds boring? Yeah, maybe. But I thought I liked it that way. Predictable, safe, controlled. I was that guy who hated surprises, always 10 minutes early, always drinking the same coffee, always keeping his AirPods in to block out the noise. But here's the thing, life doesn't care about your routines. This all happened on a random Tuesday, October 5th. Nothing special. No holiday, no birthday, just another day. Or at least, that's what I thought. That morning started weird right from the jump. My iPhone alarm didn't go off. Dead battery. My backup digital clock on the nightstand? Somehow I forgot to set it. So instead of waking up at 6:30 sharp like usual, I opened my eyes at 7:15. You know that sickening feeling in your chest when you realize you overslept? Like your whole day is already wrecked before it even begins? That was me. I panicked. Brushed my teeth in about 30 seconds, didn't even bother shaving, threw on yesterday's button-up shirt, and bolted out the door with my laptop bag half-zipped. I sprinted down to the PATH station, weaving between people, literally sweating before the day even started. And of course, I missed my train by seconds. Literally seconds. I was right there, reaching for the door, when it closed in my face. Next train? 15 minutes later. I remember standing on that platform, furious. Bitter disappointment just washing over me. I kept muttering to myself, why today? This is so messed up. And honestly, I felt like the whole universe was slowing me down on purpose. Like every little thing was blocking me for no reason. Have you ever had one of those days? Where it feels like life itself is trying to trip you up? That was me, 27 years old, sweaty, late for work, cursing under my breath on a Jersey City train platform. So yeah, I finally got on that next train, 15 minutes late, headphones blasting Drake's Take Care, just to keep myself calm. I remember staring out the window, watching the tunnels blur by, thinking, this day is wrecked already. When I got off at 33rd Street, I thought about skipping Starbucks. I mean, I was late enough already. But you know me, I need that coffee. Without caffeine, I'm basically a zombie. So I ducked into the Starbucks on 7th Avenue, right across from the Duane Reade Pharmacy. And of course, more delays. The barista mixed up my order. I asked for a tall Pike Place with oat milk, simple, right? But she handed me some iced caramel macchiato for Allison. I don't even know an Allison. So I had to wait while they fixed it, another 7 minutes gone. At this point, I was furious. My hands were literally shaking from frustration. But little did I know, those 7 minutes were the reason I'm standing here telling you this story today. Because when I finally walked out with my coffee, I saw something that made my stomach drop. A block down, right where I usually crossed on 34th Street, there was chaos. Police cars, people shouting, and a smashed-up black SUV that had jumped the curb straight into the front of a bagel shop. I froze. That was my bagel shop. Murray's Bagels. The same place I'd been going almost every morning for 2 years. And here's the part that really shook me. When I asked someone what happened, they said it all went down not even 10 minutes earlier. 10 minutes. Think about it. If I'd caught my usual train, if the barista hadn't messed up my order, I would have been right there, standing in line like always. That realization made me sick to my stomach. But here's where it gets even crazier. As I stood there, heart pounding, holding my coffee like it weighed 1,000 pounds, I suddenly remembered something else. That morning, before rushing out, I'd forgotten my AirPods. Normally, I'd just walk with my music blasting, totally tuned out from the world. But without them, I actually heard people talking on the sidewalk. Two guys right next to me were saying, "Man, it's wild." Someone was standing right where that SUV hit. A young guy in a gray hoodie. And I just froze. Because guess what I was wearing that morning? My gray hoodie. Do you feel that? That chill down your spine when the pieces start clicking? That was me. And just when I thought the madness was over, my phone started buzzing. It was my mom. She never calls me in the middle of the day, ever. I picked up and she said, "Alex, are you okay? I just saw the news about the crash near your office." I swear my knees went weak. Because in that moment, I realized how close she was to getting a very different kind of phone call. Standing there on 7th Avenue, traffic honking, sirens screaming, coffee in my hand, I realized I was shaking, not from caffeine, but from adrenaline. And I kept asking myself over and over, what are the odds? How many tiny delays had to stack up just right to keep me alive? That thought has haunted me ever since. I remember stepping out of Penn Station that morning, completely unaware of what had just happened downtown. At first, everything felt normal. The air was crisp, October air. People rushing up 7th Avenue, coffee cups in hand, backpacks slung over one shoulder, the usual New York chaos. But then, this weird shift. Sirens. Dozens of them. The sound seemed to come from every direction. Police cars speeding past. An ambulance cutting through the traffic. And people everywhere, standing frozen on the sidewalks, staring south. I followed their gaze. And that's when I saw it. The smoke. A thick, gray, terrifying column of smoke rising against the blue sky. Way downtown. Too far to fully understand, but close enough that my stomach dropped. I asked a stranger next to me, "What's happening?" He just shook his head, eyes wide. I think something hit the World Trade Center. And suddenly my heart sank. My office was right near there. Just a couple blocks away. If I hadn't missed that train, I would have been walking into that chaos right now. I tried to process, but my brain couldn't keep up. People were panicking, rumors flying. Some said it was a small plane, some said it was an explosion. Nobody knew for sure. Phones weren't working, networks jammed. I remember clutching my iPhone, refreshing the news app, nothing loading. My hands were shaking. And then, another shout from the crowd. "Oh my God, there's another one!" We all turned south again. From where I stood, I couldn't see the second plane, but the reaction told me enough. More smoke, more screams, people crying, hugging strangers. It hit me. This wasn't an accident. And I should have been there. I ducked into a diner on 34th Street, the kind of old-school place with red vinyl booths and the smell of burnt coffee. The TVs were on, every channel showing the same horrifying images, the Twin Towers burning. I sat at the counter. The waitress, this older lady who looked like she'd been working there for decades, poured me a cup of coffee without asking. She just gave me this look, like she knew none of us were okay. I couldn't drink it. My hands were shaking too much. That day blurred into this strange, dreamlike sequence. Hours passed without me noticing. One tower fell, then the other. Every time the news showed it, the entire diner went silent. Some people sobbed openly. Others just stared blankly, like their souls had left their bodies. And me? I just sat there thinking, that should have been me. I should have been there. If not for a dead phone battery and a missed train, I'd be running for my life, or worse. Later that afternoon, when trains started shutting down and people were trying to leave Manhattan, I finally managed to call my mom. She answered on the first ring, voice trembling. "Alex? Oh my God, are you okay? Please tell me you're okay." Hearing her voice cracked something inside me. I had been holding it together all day, but right then I broke. Tears just poured down. "I'm okay, Mom. I missed my train. I wasn't there." She started crying too, thanking God over and over. And you know what? In that moment, I realized this wasn't just my story. My survival was her relief, my dad's relief, my sister's. A whole chain of people's lives shifted because of one small delay. That night, I didn't want to be alone. I met up with a couple coworkers at a small Irish bar in Hoboken. The place was packed, everyone just trying to process, trying to feel less alone. We sat there nursing beers, silent for long stretches. Then one guy, Jason, tried to lighten the mood. "Guess hitting snooze on your alarms saved your life, huh?" Everyone chuckled nervously. But it didn't feel funny. I forced a smile, but inside, I felt sick. Because he was right. Something so stupid, so small, had been the line between life and death. And here's the craziest part. On my way out of the bar, I bumped into this stranger, guy in his 40s, wearing a Mets cap. He looked at me and said, "You headed home?" I nodded. Then he told me his story. He was supposed to be at work in the North Tower that morning. But his kid threw a tantrum at preschool drop-off, so he ended up 20 minutes late. By the time he got to the PATH train, it was all over. We just stood there staring at each other. Two strangers, both alive for the dumbest reasons. A dead phone battery. A cranky kid. And I thought, how many other people out there have stories like ours? The days that followed were heavy. The air smelled like smoke for weeks. Flyers of missing people plastered on every lamppost. Candlelight vigils in Union Square. Everywhere I went, people whispered, "I should have been there." And every time I heard it, it hit me again. There's no reason I should be alive. Except for chance. Except for fate. Except for whatever force made my alarm fail that morning. Even now, years later, I'll catch myself reliving that day. Like when I spill coffee on my shirt before a meeting and have to run back to change, instead of cursing, I pause. Or when traffic on the turnpike keeps me stuck for an extra 20 minutes, I breathe. Because what if that delay is saving me again? You know what's wild? I still have those shoes I wore that day. Black leather, stiff, gave me the worst blister. I almost threw them out once, but I couldn't. They sit in the back of my closet like a reminder. Sometimes the smallest, most annoying things end up protecting us in ways we'll never understand. And sometimes I think back to that guy in the Mets cap. I never saw him again. But I wonder, does he tell his story the way I do? Does he look at traffic lights, missed trains, tantrums, as more than just frustrations? I like to believe he does. So yeah, that was the aftermath. A day that split my life into two parts, before and after. Before, I thought control and routine kept me safe. After, I realized control is an illusion. And the only reason I'm here, telling you this story right now, is because of a dead phone battery, a missed train, and a pair of cheap shoes that slowed me down. You know, looking back on that day, I realized something that completely shifted the way I live my life. At first, it just felt like dumb luck. A missed alarm, a late train, a pair of shoes that slowed me down. Nothing more than coincidence. But the more I thought about it, the more I understood, maybe there are no coincidences. Maybe every delay, every little inconvenience, has meaning. Before that day, I used to be the kind of guy who obsessed over being on time. I'm Alex, 32 now, but back then I was 25. I hated lateness. I'd set 2 alarms, I'd leave home 10 minutes early, I'd tap my foot impatiently in line at Dunkin' Donuts if someone took too long ordering their coffee. That was me. Always rushing. Always anxious that I was wasting time. I used to joke that my spirit animal was a New Jersey Transit conductor yelling, "Stand clear of the closing doors." And yet, all that obsession almost put me in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was breaking that routine, being forced to slow down, that saved me. In the weeks that followed, I started noticing little things. Like, one morning I was driving down Route 22, heading to Target to grab some groceries. Suddenly there was a traffic jam, bumper to bumper. My old self would have slammed the steering wheel, muttered, "Are you kidding me?" and ruined my morning. But that new version of me? I just sat there, windows down, listening to Springsteen on the radio. And you know what? By the time I got moving again, I found out there'd been a nasty wreck up ahead. Cars totaled. Ambulance lights flashing. I shivered, realizing, if I'd been on time, that could have been me. That became a pattern. Missed elevators. Red lights. Coffee spills. Delays that once drove me insane now felt like maybe they were keeping me safe. I'd look up and think, okay, God, I see you. I'll slow down. And honestly, it changed my whole perspective. Here's another small example. A couple months later, I was heading into Manhattan again. This time, I left early. Got to Penn Station with 15 minutes to spare. But when I went to grab my usual Starbucks, the line was out the door. My gut reaction? No way, I'll be late. Then I caught myself. So I stood in line. Waited. Ordered a caramel macchiato I didn't even really want. And because I did, I ended up bumping into a college buddy I hadn't seen in years. He was standing behind me in line. That random meeting? It turned into a new job lead, a better opportunity, a friendship rekindled. If I'd rushed, if I'd skipped that coffee, I never would have seen him. And that's when it hit me. Delays don't just save us from danger. Sometimes they push us toward good things we'd otherwise miss. Now, I don't want to sound preachy, but let me tell you this. If you're watching this right now, maybe you've had days when everything seemed to go wrong. You spilled your cereal. You missed your bus. Your car wouldn't start. You were stuck at every red light on Main Street. And maybe you cursed, slammed doors, thought the universe hated you. But what if those things are actually protecting you? Let me ask you, how many times have you been delayed, only to later find out something bad happened where you would have been? Or how many times did a delay lead you to something unexpectedly good? I bet if you really think about it, you'll remember at least one moment like that. For me, it became a new way of life. I stopped rushing so much. I started breathing through inconveniences. And I developed this little habit. Whenever something slows me down, I whisper to myself, maybe this is saving me. It doesn't mean I'll know why in the moment. Most times I don't. But it shifts the frustration into gratitude. Let me tell you a story that proves my point. A year after September 11th, I was driving down the Garden State Parkway on my way to visit a friend in Asbury Park. I had music blasting, windows down. Then suddenly, my tire blew out. Instant anger. I pulled over, cursing. I had to wait over an hour for AAA to show up. I was fuming, thinking, why me? Why today? But here's the thing. Later, when I finally got back on the road, I passed a massive pileup. Multiple cars, fire trucks everywhere. And the timing? If my tire hadn't blown, I would have been right there in the middle of it. Tell me that's coincidence. Over the years, I've collected stories like that. Friends, coworkers, even random strangers. They all have their own delay saved me moment. Like my buddy Kevin. He overslept once, missed a meeting in Boston, and the train he would have been on derailed. People were hurt. He was spared. Or my cousin Sarah. She spilled coffee on her blouse one morning, had to change, and because of that she met her future husband on the later train. A ruined shirt led to a marriage. See what I mean? These little things matter. Sometimes people ask me, Alex, do you think it's fate? Or good? Or just luck? And honestly, I don't know. I don't pretend to. But here's what I do know. When I treat delays as blessings instead of curses, I live calmer, happier, and more grateful. And when I share my story, like I'm doing with you right now, I see it resonate. Because deep down, we've all felt it. Let me be real for a second. I'm not saying every traffic jam is life or death. Sometimes a spilled coffee is just a spilled coffee. But the mindset shift? That's the lesson. Instead of thinking, why me? I now ask, why not me? Maybe I needed this pause. It's a radical difference. And I'll be honest, this shift saved my mental health too. Before, I was constantly stressed. Headaches, insomnia, snapping at people over small stuff. I felt like I was always behind. But once I started embracing delays, I felt lighter. More in control, ironically, by letting go of control. Now when I'm stuck in traffic on the New Jersey Turnpike, instead of fuming, I call my mom. Or I listen to a podcast. I just breathe. Time no longer feels wasted. It feels redirected. So what's the takeaway here? It's simple. The smallest inconveniences can carry the biggest meaning. Next time you're late, next time your plans fall apart, don't spiral. Just look around. Maybe that wasted minute is exactly where you're meant to be. I'll leave you with this final thought. On that Tuesday morning in 2001, thousands of people woke up thinking it was just another normal day. Some of them followed their routine and never made it home. Others, by accident, by delay, by luck, lived to tell their stories. I'm one of them. And now, every time something slows me down, I don't fight it. I lean into it. Because maybe, just maybe, it's saving my life again. So, if you're still watching, thank you. And let me ask you, has there ever been a moment when being late or delayed ended up saving you, or changing your life for the better? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. And remember, sometimes the universe isn't punishing you. It's protecting you.